Things are moving at breakneck speed for the Huskers this offseason, and Matt Rhule is proving himself as the right coach at the right time to restore Nebraska to its former glory. The Huskers are currently linked to several top portal prospects, and out of the blue, Dylan Rhule has not only reopened his recruitment, but is projected by several experts to be a lock to join Nebraska instead of Georgia this offseason. Hit that like for us, and please tell us in the comments if you believe that Matt Rhule will pull off this commitment flip. So Gary, everything is shiny and new right now for the Huskers. Optimism is at an all-time high, and the red Kool-Aid spilleth over. How much cold water are you planning on throwing on Husker fans right now?
I wouldn't say any cold water, maybe some room temperature water, just in the sense of practicality or reality. So we get into McCord and Fleming are obviously the two transfer portal guys that people are really excited about and seem to be projected to be here. And then, the Rhule thing obviously is, to me, that's crazy. That's just out of the blue. I never heard anything about him reopening his recruitment, anything. It was just, I was down in Kansas City for the Bills game. Obviously, McCord and Fleming were kind of the hot topic. And then by the time we're coming back the next day, I'm getting all these alerts that now he's projected to come here. Trevor Etienne out of Florida, the running back, there was talks about him for a minute. I've also heard he's pretty much set for Georgia. Princewell's brother from Florida, heard talk about him. There's another wide receiver, I think, like a 5-star, former 5-star. But that's where I kind of pump the brakes. It's not that I'm negative on those things happening. I'm super excited and very hopeful that they happen. But the reality is there's only so many spots for so many guys. So all these guys that say something on Twitter, change a Twitter picture, take a call from Satterfield or Rhule or whatever, just get mentioned. I don't see it as very practical to assume that we're getting this whole 24 class in, plus we're going to get all these 5-stars out of the portal. There's just not enough scholarship spots for it. And I don't know enough, right? Like, admittedly, but you're either going to have to force some guys out, which, maybe that could happen. You've heard Rhule talk a lot. He was even talking about it today on McAfee about he wants to build this thing through recruitment, and then develop guys and do that type of thing. And he's not the type of guy that wants to every year push guys out to bring a bunch in. And the reality is, as of right now, you're looking at the two supposed locks are one receiver and a quarterback. So, okay, you're good. And then, if you get a pass rusher or somebody, like Princely or something like that, you're not getting crazy with it. But to me, the bigger excitement, the bigger picture part of it is there's debates across the board. Is Rhule the guy? Did he do enough in the first year? Is it more the same? Is he not the guy? There's no arguing that in the short time he's been here, we're all of a sudden in the same pool that top end guys, whether it's recruits out of high school or transfer portal guys, former 5-stars, former 4-stars, guys that impact guys that can walk in and make an impact day one, are strongly considering Nebraska now. Whether we get one, all, or none of them, doesn't matter. We weren't getting looks like this over the last 15, 20 years from 5-stars. We'd get excited if there was a 4-star. And we did the video about getting Bricks, the number one guy out of Iowa. We've got Carter Nelson, number one guy out of Nebraska. Now you're looking at potentially getting the number one overall guy in Rhule. You're looking at getting a former 5-star, both quarterback and receiver, that coming from Ohio State. When you start pulling guys away from the top 5, top 10 schools, and you're still on your 7th consecutive losing season and not making a bowl game, that says something to the coaching staff, right? Like, I just say Rhule. I know Rhule wants it to be, it's not just me, it's this and that. He put that team together, that team of coaches together. And we saw last year, he wasn't named the coach very long, and all of a sudden we start seeing these different track star guys, the Jaden Dosses, when Malachi reopened his recruitment and he shut that down real quick and locked him up, to already moving into this year's recruiting class. It's just, that's a huge difference in a very short amount of time in what you're potentially getting talent-wise over what you've been getting talent-wise over the last few years. And his track record shows he can develop guys. Some people, especially if you're not all in on Matt Rhule, you could argue, and a lot of people I'm sure are going to point to the Jeff Sims thing, but it's like, you're not going to bat 1,000, right? These kids, whether it be high school kids or guys that are in college in different systems and things, you just don't know exactly what you're going to get out of them in your system, in your situation, in the matchups that are going to be presented to them in the conference and teams you're playing. So I don't put too much into that. It's he has a track record of taking guys, walk-ons and putting them in the NFL. And we've had guys that have gone, 3-4 star looking good, not amount to much. We've had walk-ons and things like that turn out. But like we've talked before and I've said, your potential, your odds of having a higher batting average and how you turn these guys out drastically goes up when you're picking from a pool of 4 and 5 stars as opposed to a pool of walk-ons up to maybe 4 stars if you're lucky. So to me, that's the big thing where I'm just like, I don't get too overly excited about things. And saying all this doesn't mean these guys are going to walk in and all of a sudden we're going to win all these games next year. You would hope so, right? As close as the games have been, when you start getting caliber of players like that at those types of positions, that it translates into wins. And I do believe it will, but there's no guarantee, obviously. We see high-end recruits not pan out across the nation, not just here. And you've seen portal guys look like they're going to be game changer type people and they come in and it just doesn't work out the same. And I always go back to, there's usually a reason they're leaving, So I don't want it, to your point, to sound like I'm dumping cold water on it, because I'm not. I'm super excited that, like I said, regardless of what your thoughts or opinions on getting these guys are, you think they're all home runs, you think they're not. I don't even know we're getting them, right? These are all projections, and we've seen, a week ago, we were hopeful maybe we could land McCord and another portal quarterback and just kind of roll with that into next year. And then within a few days, that seems to be a lock. Fleming seems to be a lot coming with them. Now all of a sudden they're talking, it seems like a lock of Rhule. Things change quick is what I'm getting at. So I'm not, counting chickens before they hatch, but we've never been in this situation since they've rated guys with star ratings. You know how I feel about that. But we've never been in this situation to where we're one of the schools that are very strongly considered with the Georgias, the Alabamas, the Ohio States, things like that. And it's crazy to me. It's not like Rhule's been here for 3 years winning and us going to bowl games and game day coming and we're back to the old Nebraska. They're still losing, still missing bowl games, but there's something going on, and I think a lot has to do with the NIL. I think we have a huge advantage over a lot of schools with the NIL. You see, if you scroll through Twitter, that's up there a lot, talking about donate to it and this and that. I think they're really utilizing the fan base and utilizing that thing that everybody seems to hate. But when you've got, a little bit of leverage, you got to use it. I think that's what they're doing. But it's insane to me that over the past however many years, our talent pool has been limited to what we can get. And now it's almost like, well, take your pick, because everybody's open to at least taking a look.
Yeah, man, one of my proudest moments as a Husker fan, because God knows I've got a lot to be embarrassed about as far as takes that I've had that have been boneheaded and just wrong. My most proud take is, I think it was after that Michigan beatdown, after listening to Matt Rhule talk in the post-game press conference. We both sat there and just said, this is the guy. You can tell, even after a miserable beating, you could just tell. And it's obviously not the product that was put on the field, although it didn't hurt that we won a little bit more games and kept every game super close. But whether it's that or his viral moments on Twitter, let's be honest, the guy's become a rock star on social media, and players are seeing him. They're affected by his charisma. Whatever it is, Husker fans are just lucky to have Matt Rhule, whether they know it or not. And obviously things can still fall through, but it feels like the Huskers are really going to be back within that 3-year window that it usually takes Matt Rhule. And we'll have updates for you guys on all the recruiting. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed. And we'll see you guys next time. Till then, go Big Red.